Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Pisces. If Pisces is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay. And let's see, what do these tea leaves have to say? And immediately we have this kind of naughty looking devilly face. That's very large. So that looks like it might be important. Let's kind of take a look what else we have on here. The other thing I want to mention with that kind of terrible face, my goodness, the card that I picked for that I chose, and I'm sorry, I'm stalling a little bit, is the Tower. I know it's dreaded. A lot of people are like, when you get a Tower card, right? A Tower moment in our lives is often difficult. It can be kind of a shocking experience, something sudden, some kind of chaos, accident, life just kind of being torn apart, some kind of loss, a lot of things can be related to the Tower. But I'm going to be that person that says that I kind of always welcome a Tower card because it is an indicator that something has left your life, something has changed about your life. It is probably something maybe important, maybe fundamental, might be difficult. It might be terribly hard, even grief involved. And, of course, these aren't positive experiences, but these things happen because they have to. And the nature of life, existing, of being a conscious being, of being any kind of being, right, is that things come and go. Nothing is forever. Everything is finite, right? And so, it is kind of sometimes a blessing in trouble, right? There are blessings in trouble. And I'm never going to be a doom and gloom person, okay? And I do say this from a place of kind of knowing. And, I've had a lot of death in my life. I've had a lot of pain in my life. And I've had some really, really, just terrible trauma in my childhood and stuff. So I've not had like a charmed life. I'm not talking about this from a place of unknowing. And I don't wish anything bad on anybody either. But I do know that it is up to us to control how we react to things in our life. So I feel like this is actually going to not be a negative reading, okay? Just off the top. I think that these moments can be the catalyst for a lot of ambition, for refinement of self, fortification, okay? Or, kind of being pulled from the position that we're kind of feeling trapped in and starting anew, right? Every ending is a beginning as well. Now let's look at this face. Okay, so the feeling that I'm getting here is that at some point in your life, at a point when it really mattered, when it felt very emotional for you, very raw for you. You were vulnerable to the effects of whatever was said, or the implications of others' actions. But you were made to feel ashamed of something that was important to you. Maybe you were bullied. Maybe you were, talked down to by family members. Maybe you were alienated, kind of othered for whatever reason. Maybe this was a direct experience, or maybe this was indirect and it was a greater social kind of energy that kind of made you feel unaccepted, to make you feel bad about some circumstance of your life, of some configuration of your being. And this was terribly painful for you. I think that this is something that very much set some tone, not the whole tone of your life, of course, but it set at least a strand of a tone. Does that make sense? Maybe. Of your life, okay? And I think that this is something that even as you grew up, and maybe, this wasn't necessarily a focal point, or something that, you just kind of go on, and maybe you moved away, or, you weren't around these kind of people anymore that would make you feel bad, or whatever it was. You aligned your life in such a way that, I don't think that you felt necessarily as in this feeling of shame, but it came with you, okay? And we all remember those moments in our life when we were rejected, or our family member or parent said something discouraging, or, God forbid, just totally were unaccepting of some aspect of self, right? Or when we were, bullied at school or by our peers, or whatever it is, we all remember those moments. I mean, they really do stay very close in your mind, and so, I think in these last, and I guess I should talk about this. This is this feeling of, being gawked at, being exposed to, just this, I don't know what I can say, but exactly, but this really, mean-spirited, kind of poop, attitude, right? Beliefs, whatever it is, it really was that kind of evil thing in your life. It really became its own kind of entity, and hard to understand how somebody would kind of, allow themselves to be possessed by these kinds of attitudes towards somebody, especially if you were a child, towards a child. And so I think that that's what this face really represents, is this just looming, icky, bad energy, okay? Now, I want to move this around. And I see that And I'm looking at this one, and I was looking at this before, and it looks like somebody who's kind of bent over forward, like almost like they are holding their stomach. Maybe they're getting sick. Maybe just kind of, you know, holding themselves tight, really trying to protect themselves. Something. I feel like it just really was something that I feel like it went on, right? And it was hard. This was so hard, and I'm sorry that this was something that, you know, you had to bear. And I think that, you know, I think that you really had to make huge strides to probably, I mean, escape this, right? In some way. If you went inside of yourself, maybe, if you tried to maybe detach these parts of yourself or your interests, whatever it was, you know, change your appearance, or, you know, there's so many things that we end up doing to try to just not be what people say we are, right? And we try very hard. Especially when we're young and very kind of affected by other people's words and attitudes and, you know, that oppressive energy that people can spew out onto each other, especially when they're other young people. But I think that especially in these last years, I think recently, you have really worked hard to process some of this stuff. I think that maybe you went years where you didn't think about it a lot. I think that you probably went on with your life. Maybe you went off to school and got into your career, had a family. You know, whatever it was that you did, you just didn't really allow yourself to think about it. But there were little beliefs and coping mechanisms and things that would kind of pop up. Maybe even when you were having children, and this is something I relate to because I have a young daughter. There are things that people said to me when I was a kid that I have not thought about in a long time, or things that, you know, just ambiently were going on around me or whatever. Attitudes like, you know, like, you better stop crying, or, you know, I don't know, just, you know, whatever it is. Don't run in the house, like yelling. Just things, energies that happen, and they're startling, you know, when you're young. But then when you yourself become a parent, a caretaker, and sometimes these things, they arise into your psyche, like they come out of nowhere, and hopefully you can filter it before you pass it on, right? Sometimes, you know, it just, all of a sudden you are in a moment and you're thinking about, just, you can't believe the things that people said to you as a child, or that you witnessed, or, you know, that people you knew went through, or whatever it is. And so I think that whatever has gone on in your life recently in the last, you know, some years, you have kind of been confronted with some of this old stuff. And it maybe is even one of those things where it was really painful. It was traumatic. And the world that we live in, people suffer so much, and they go through so many things that are just unbelievably, you can't even fathom. So when you have trauma that doesn't seem as bad as other people's, although it was super bad for you, sometimes we minimize what we suffered because somebody else, you know, went through something you can't even imagine how they survived it, right? And you kind of just stuff it down. But I think that you have gotten to a point, at least recently, where you have decided to kind of really look at some of this stuff, right? Really. And I see a person here pointing, okay? And we have a bird with its wings up. We have, and that it looks like maybe a fire, right? Like a campfire. And just kind of maybe other birds or little pieces of something kind of floating away. And I feel like this energy of just kind of being super brave, looking in the face of these things that were so painful to you, but maybe you felt like you couldn't really talk to people about them in a real way, open way, because you thought maybe they would be dismissive of your experience. Maybe even you were dismissive of your experience because you think, oh, well, everybody kind of goes through these things. It's normal. Well, it affected you, and it was difficult. It was hard. And it kind of, in some ways, maybe changed parts of who you are, you know, as you developed. And so, you know, no matter what it was, how small or big or whatever, however you perceive it, you know, you are brave for examining these things and for doing something with those feelings, resolving maybe, integrating, processing for sure. Making something, making use of it, and maybe really resolving some of the coping mechanisms is the big thing, because these things manifest in our lives in all kinds of ways. A lot of times with mental health stuff, of course, addiction stuff, of course, and just it makes it sometimes tough to relate to people or to be vulnerable with people because you're afraid of being rejected or you know, taunted or made to feel bad about what you love or enjoy or are interested in, or parts of who you are, or what you identify with, and that, you know, that can be soul killing, if not worked out, right? And so with the bird especially, I feel like this is a sign that you have found a way to have a place in the world, that you have maybe found people who hear you, who see you, you feel acceptance, you know, and it feels like those are authentic bonds because you are being who you feel that you are. And there's a wholeness in that. And so really, for me, looking at this, it's a Tower card. This fits together in the way that it's kind of like burning down your own tower. You have stood up to this thing, this pillar of a monstrosity, this blockage, and you set it aflame. You're the one that is in control of getting rid of this, you know, this terrible. And so I think that, you know, this is where that sudden realization comes in, this flooding of confidence and you know, knowledge of self, finding places in the world that are yours, and not allowing people to make you feel less than or other, or you don't belong, or any of those things. And so, you know, sometimes the Tower can be a wonderful sign. It can be, you know, quite a wonderful sign. And here we have, it looks like a little, a flower, and I see a little bird kind of, maybe coming in to get a little of the nectar or, pollen. Yesterday I saw a black and blue butterfly, and I have to find out what that was. I looked it up last year, I think, but it was beautiful. It was all black and had little highlights of blue in it, and I was like, oh, I'm so in love with that. I just love being out looking at the flowers, looking at all the bugs on the flowers. Different parts of the day, there are different bugs that come out. Early in the morning, there are these dark European bees, and then later on, the honeybees come out. And soon we'll have crickets and grasshoppers, and you know, there's just all kind of. Yesterday we saw a soldier bug. I get very excited about the different bugs and identifying them. And so anyways, I feel there's a blossoming, you know. You are unfurling. You are fully in yourself. And not only that, just kind of really feeling yourself as well. And just a beautiful posture to be in within your own life. And you know, I think that you also are a mentor to others, even if you don't know it. I think that just the way that you are living, people are inspired by that. And, you know, other people that suffer in the ways that maybe you have, sometimes we just need to see other people doing the damn thing, and it gives us the courage to do it as well, right? Okay, let's see. And I see the sun rising there, another sign of, you know, of the new light, of the illumination, that really strong, vital energy. We have the candle, illumination, you know, a lot of light in your interior life right now. I think a lot of self-exploration going on, but also very much enjoying your mundane life, your material life, your everyday life. Yeah, and I think that's, you know, I think that's the reading tonight, Pisces. And I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me. I am always so honored to be able to bring these messages to you. If you'd be so kind as to like the video, the reading, it helps us get into the algorithm and build a community here. If you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos come out. I don't want you to miss any videos. And other than that, leave a comment. I read all of them. I appreciate all of the love, the kind words, and all of the sharing that people... Shit.